let's take you back to the tragic death of Mbalenhle Ngobese. That's the KZN pupil who took her own life. She was suspended from school for wearing her sangoma attire, but later returned to class. So this morning we're focusing on traditional and religious rights of pupils in school. Let's bring in Commissioner at the South African Human Rights Commission, Advocate Gaum, who joins us via our video link this morning. And just an advance apology to our viewers, Advocate Gaum, because there is a bit of a delay. You are in the middle of load shedding as well this morning. So just something to keep in mind as we chat to you. Incredibly disturbing, the background to the story and the treatment of this young girl insofar as her traditional attire is concerned. On the face of it, given the facts that we know about the story, what's your response to how this was handled?
Yes, I think this is a tragic incident, and our hearts go out to her family. It should never have happened, and I think it wasn't handled well at all. The South African Human Rights Commission will most definitely look into this tragic incidents. And it is quite concerning that years after the decision in MEC of KwaZulu-Natal versus Pillay, where it was made quite clear how important diversity is in our country, and that there should indeed be reasonable accommodation when when the religious and cultural rights of learners are concerned, that this is still happening. The Commission is aware of many instances where there is a contention between learners practicing their religious and traditional beliefs through attire and regalia and the school's code of conduct, especially around school uniform issues and appearance. And these clashes are a concern to the Commission, and we will most definitely continue to monitor the situation and intervene where necessary.
Yeah.
But more than that, it is important for us, and therefore we've already had discussions with the Department of Basic Education, that between that department and the Commission we develop a model code of conduct for schools that is human rights compliant, so that we can put this whole matter to rest now forevermore to come.
Good to get that confirmation from you, Advocate Gaum, that the South African Human Rights Commission will be looking into the various issues around what happened and the treatment of Mbalenhle Ngobese. But I want to ask you, you've said, you know, the decision some time ago that there is reasonable accommodation for religious and cultural rights of pupils. That reasonable accommodation, what does that look like if you take it with the school's code of conduct as well?
Yeah, well, we actually think it should go further than that. When someone's appearance in line with cultural, religious rights and so on is not having a negative impact on academic performance kind of issues, then it should absolutely be allowed, and they should be allowed to exercise those rights. I think we still have a very old-fashioned approach towards matters of appearance as well as school uniform. We have had an inquiry not long ago, this year still in the Eastern Cape, pertaining to these issues. And from that inquiry will follow certain very particular directives and recommendations from the Commission. It will also contain specific directives. I really think a mind shift is necessary in this regard. Too much is being made of school uniform and appearances, and when those kind of rules should really serve a proper purpose, and it is not at the moment, and therefore we have instances like this tragic incident that has occurred.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, and perhaps this is my personal take on the story as well. There is really an unnecessary focus on school attire. I mean, Advocate Gaum, you know, people who work perhaps in schooling will tell us a different story. They'll talk about the importance of adhering to school uniform. They'll talk about issues of discipline in school and how that's related to your uniform and so on. But this is a 15-year-old child, effectively, who was victimized for wearing her traditional sangoma attire. Surely that's a very clear line, that's a very clear difference between adhering to school uniform on the one hand and also having accommodation for religious and cultural rights. It doesn't have to be an either-or.
No, absolutely. We, as a commission also, is not opposed to school uniform as such.
Yes.
But this is a very clear instance where, appearances of learners has been regulated by that particular school in a manner that that violated the rights of this particular learner, in my view. And therefore, yes, there is a place for uniform. It also makes sure that there is all learners are accommodated, also poor learners in particular, and that there is not this contestation between learners in terms of what you wear and so on. But definitely it has to be done reasonably, and it can't be done in a way that violates rights, as has been the case here.
Yeah. So in the Commission's investigations that will now follow into this incident, who are the role players that you'll be speaking to as the South African Human Rights Commission? And I suppose, so that this doesn't happen in a silo at just this one school, surely the National Education Department will also be involved.
Yes, and also particularly the Provincial Education Department and the various role players at the school as such. But the government in the form of the provincial department, even national department, will most certainly be involved. And this actually underscores the importance of our initiative together with the Department of Basic Education to develop a human rights compliant model school or a model human rights compliant code of conduct for schools sooner rather than later, and then to really get schools to buy into that and to accept that as the norm. Yeah,
and to protect learners when an issue like this does arise, because one does get the sense that the education needs to go a step further insofar as the attitudes of learners and the wider community is concerned as well.
No, absolutely, that is very important.
Advocate Andre Gaum, let me thank you for your time this morning, Commissioner with the South African Human Rights Commission, as we continue to track this heartbreaking story of 15-year-old Mbalenhle Ngobese. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.